Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. This is Low Code Smart Apps for the Medical Device Industry. The webinar is hosted by Time Series, also featuring Siemens and Mendix as well today. We have an action-packed hour for everyone, so we're really excited to get underway, introduce everybody that's affiliated with the webinar and that will be presenting. So we'll go ahead and get everything started right now. To introduce myself, my name is Evan Schwartz. I'm an account executive here at Time Series. I've been with the company now for over 6 months. I was previously working at Mendix for over 2.5 years on sales side as well. It was a very seamless transition working for the low code company to the solutions and delivery partner as well. So really excited for what's to come today. And I'll pass it over to you, Alex. Let you introduce yourself.
Good morning. I'm Alex Plinsky. I've been with Time Series for well over a year now. I've been working with Mendix for about 3 years now, and about 7 years total in IT space and medical device industry and local government. Jim?
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Evan. Good morning, everybody. Jim Gurnett with Siemens. Get to spend my time serving customers that do a lot of medical device manufacturing. Been with Siemens for 8 years and excited to be on this. I'm excited to see how we're kind of advancing the way our customers do business and partnering with companies like Time Series. So thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the introductions, guys. So this is just the agenda that we'll be reviewing today. So we're going to go over who Time Series is, what we've accomplished thus far in the market, and what we offer to customers. We're going to review the Siemens and the Mendix relationship as well, give you some familiarity into low code. We know that there's a mixed variety of attendees out there, and not everyone may comprehend even what low code is and the relationship between all three companies coming at you on one webinar today. We'll be most specifically going into the specific industry of medical devices and how smart apps relate to the medical device industry and how it can help you if you're a medical devices professional within the IT engineering space. Then we'll actually have a demonstration of the UDI template that the team has created, just reviewing and showcasing how you can adopt a UDI template application and reconfigure it to your processes and customize it accordingly to how your business operates as well. Really excited for that portion. Lastly, we'll showcase a variety of different offerings that we have as well to get you successful in application development and the different custom pathways that you could take according to whatever your business is looking to execute on. And then we definitely want to leave some time at the end for a live Q&A as well for the entire team. So with that said, let's go ahead and get things kicked off. So Time Series have over 250 years of accumulated Mendix experience. We're an official Siemens and Services solution partner along with Mendix Siemens solution partner as well. We have global offices. We have offices all over the United States, as you can see here, throughout Canada, 2 in the Netherlands and Germany as well. I would say though, all in all, there's 3 core pillars that Time Series offers as a company. One is the partnerships that we have with Siemens and Mendix, acting as the solutions provider for rapid application development. 2, I would say it's the services and center of excellence and governance strategy that we help implement and execute around Mendix development for customers in all industries. And 3, which we'll talk about later as well, is the Smart App Suite, which are prepackaged application templates that we've seen a variety of different industries ask us for similar use cases. So we've bridged the gap between demand and offer and how long it can actually take to execute on a project, enabling companies to adopt these templates to reduce the amount of time of development to get to their end goal, whatever it may be. So that really gives you that ease of off the shelf with the flexibility of custom. So this is just a nice visual that we have to just showcase the variety of different ways that we go about creating those prepackaged application templates. So we have the automated planning solution, field services, intelligent insight, predictive maintenance, smart warehousing, asset management, and tracking. And then on the other side of things, in order to leverage low code and application delivery, these are just a variety of ways that our team can work with you in order to execute under portfolio of applications that your company is looking to offer. And these are a portfolio of different clients that we've been working with in the enterprise space in all industries, including medical devices and life sciences as well. Working with companies like McKesson, ClaimSecure, subsidiary of ConocoPhillips in the energy space, Mitsubishi, DSM, and the list really goes on. It's definitely been a very exciting journey to this point to be able to work with so many different great customers in a variety of industries, accomplishing so many different use cases as well to help these companies really execute on their business goals and have IT deliver on that through custom application development. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Jim, give you a bit of an explanation in terms of the background of Siemens and what we're seeing today with everything going on with COVID-19. Jim?
Thank you, Evan. Evan, confirming you can see my screen, yeah? Don't take anything for granted these days.
Yes, I can see your screen quite well.
Perfect. And if you guys on the phone, on the web here can see my screen, what I'd like you to do, we're going to have a little activity as we get started here. So this is a little engagement. Go ahead, pull out your phone if you want to. We have an ongoing every Thursday lunches with Larry Sampson right there featured on the right. We have an ongoing lunches with Larry session, and it's really showcasing best practices in medical device design excellence. Covers a variety of topics. It's a 30-minute webinar. It's meant to be simple. Some of the topics go a little deep, but in overall, this is we've already had 3. This is the 4th one today. It's actually right after this. So shameless plug. If you guys want to get plugged into this community, feel free to pull that out, scan the QR code, takes you right to the landing page. Yeah. So with that said, let me jump in here for just a second. There's been presentations in the past about how Siemens and how Mendix have partnered and stuff. So I'm not going to necessarily go over, all those specifics of, I'll say what those unique things are. That's not really the intent of this, but really I want to talk about kind of this new normal we're in. I don't want to hit it too hard, but as we take things into perspective, I think there were a lot of things that we're all kind of facing that we maybe have took for granted. And, some of us are 7, 8 weeks even into quarantine, some of us shorter than that. But the reality is things are changing, right? And, things like bandwidth, right? Even just maybe you're like me, right? I'm guilty here. I purchased, I thought I was having more bandwidth, more megabytes per second because, fiber is not offered on my street, apparently. I'll talk to Google and AT&T about that later. But, we purchased larger bandwidth, but even then we're only operating at 25% capacity, right? Overall infrastructure, right? Just in general, you're not getting what you asked for, or maybe you have kids in the house, doing their schoolwork on Zoom, or maybe not doing their schoolwork and gaming, or maybe folks are just streaming TikTok all day. I don't know what you do with your days. But in general, right, we're facing some of these new challenges, and our ability to, walk through the cuberhood, so to speak, and get a quick question, ask something to a colleague, and collaborate. A lot of folks are deemed non-essential, right? That's a whole new paradigm. Maybe we'll talk more about that later. What exactly is essential? But then also, it's an adjustment for our families. It's an adjustment for the people we live around. We have new co-op spaces with family members who are also having to adjust. There's always a chance that my daughter, right, 3.5, it might walk in here during this meeting, dinging her new unicorn bike bell. So if that happens, I'm just letting you guys know it's possible, right? Anything can happen in these meetings now. On March 20th, actually, our CEO, Tony Hemmelgarn, sent a letter out, and it was talking about this new normal. And I was really appreciative of Tony kind of putting out there, like, it's a transition for everybody, not just businesses, But it's a transition personally. It's a transition for families that are now having to have new normals in that balance. And we all need to have a little bit of extra grace for each other in this time. We don't want to take things for granted. And as it comes specifically, to business, right? As we think about our industries and what we're doing, I have on the screen, I literally Googled this the other day. I just wrote in how to make, and I'm not kidding, these were the first 4 results that popped up. How to make a face mask, how to make a mask, how to make hand sanitizer. Apparently French toast is coming in top. I don't know exactly what's happening. Maybe all the scarcity of the milk, bread, and eggs is forcing everybody to relook at ways to make French toast. But in all seriousness, we are facing a new normal, and maybe even segments that used to kind of be considered, I'll say, class 1 medical devices. A lot of those, gowns, caps, masks, protective wear, things we maybe kind of took for granted, now it couldn't be any more demanding. And then respirators or ventilators, right? It couldn't be more demanding or more critical. We actually had a note yesterday. I got a note from one of our account executives who had spoken to one of our customers who is making ventilators, right? And while that was going on, he literally said that all the non-essential personnel, they're at such demand that all the non-essential personnel, those offices, those cubes, they've cleared that out, and they actually added and expanded manufacturing capacity into, no joke, into where there used to be cubes. So I'm not exactly sure how all that happened, but that's what they're facing. We're having to get creative to meet demand. But then some of you guys on the phone, right? You guys might be on the other end of the spectrum where maybe it's the elective surgeries and there aren't as many of those, if any, happening right now. And so there's this kind of doldrums period. And a lot of our customers there are actually telling us they're taking the chance to invest in best practices. They're taking the chance to teach and train their employees to do something new, to invest in them. There's so much transition happening, and we just need to be aware of that, right? But we need to also consider how we can consider, or at least consider how we can continue helping our customers. And so that said, this is the last slide from me, right? What we have here, this is how Siemens, hears from our customers some of the trends happening in the medical device space, right? This is what our customers are telling us. They're telling us that this is what they see. And a lot of this, of course, was prior to COVID-19. The regulatory complexity of what you guys are dealing with in this medical device space, never going to go away, but it is changing, right? The FDA is even shifting, for continuous improvement. That's some of the things that are happening. So if any of our friends from the FDA are on here listening, thank you for some of the continuous improvement efforts you guys are making. But the FDA is shifting for continuous improvement to focus more and more on patient health improvements and leveraging best practices, digital evidence. The FDA is taking more of an advanced manufacturing and digitalization approach, and as a thought leader, Siemens, we consider ourselves to be a thought leader in that. We are a part of the case for quality and many other FDA initiatives that support some of these activities in the advanced manufacturing and digitalization. I think what COVID-19 did, this is kind of the last couple points here, what COVID-19 did is it really just heightened the need for scale. It heightened the need for flexibility. It shed light that in order for us, to serve our customers, for medical device manufacturers to serve our customers, it's really dependent on our ability to be flexible, to scale up, scale down, transfer, to ramp up, ramp down, to have that flexibility of changing from one product to another, very quickly. And it's not just about simulating and optimizing, production, or simulating and optimizing ramp, which are good things, by the way, but it's also how can we leverage, AR, augmented reality, how can we leverage AR with simulation to ramp onboarding, to ramp new employees, to improve their training, their ability to come up to speed faster. It's kind of a holistic thing. COVID-19 just shed this spotlight on maybe us in the medical device space, maybe a lot of us were ill prepared, and now we're being forced to be nimble. And it's just showing that we really were gapped. It's forcing the need also, and this is kind of the transition point, here to time series. I think it's forcing the need to rapidly create apps, right? To collaborate faster with suppliers, to collaborate and get visibility into manufacturing. It's shining light on how gapped, we are in that flexibility. How can we get that real-time visibility? How can we collaborate better? How can we take concepts and platforms like Zoom and some things that we just take for granted and apply it into manufacturing so we can serve these customers who need it? And that's really all I wanted to communicate here. Again, I appreciate Time Series and everything they're doing to try to serve this space. I'm excited to see what's coming up here, but thank you for listening. Of course, if you have any questions, if you want to talk to us about some of this, please just reach out, put a question in there, and we'll get it to the right person. Thank you so much. Back to you, Evan.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Jim. Hope you're able to see my screen as well right now, passing it back. And I think one of the favorite parts of that little tidbit that you gave us is the efficiency and communication in everything that we're dealing with in COVID right now. Like, how do you operate more efficiently? How are you able to communicate with your teammates when you're developing applications? You're not able to have a meeting in person per se anymore. This efficiency, and even tying back to how the business operates as a whole, the dependency on technology has become like that much more pertinent based on everything that is going on in the world today. And even before COVID occurred, Gartner was predicting that through 2021, demand for applications from all businesses in all industries will grow at least 5 times faster than IT's capacity to deliver. And on the right hand side, you can see that there's a variety of ways that companies typically go about trying to actually develop those apps within time, within budget. But it's just not easy. It's like building a house. The foundation is essential, and everything on top of that is essential. If you do it the wrong way at the beginning, it can make the entire house crumble. And it's the same thing with developing applications for any app developers out there. I'm hoping that you'd be able to resonate with this as well, as we've all seen it, as the founders of Time Series have, and the founders of Mendix as well, teaming together now with Siemens too after the Mendix acquisition to help companies communicate more efficiently and rapidly develop applications together. So in the past, you've seen companies try to outsource development, throw as many people at the job as possible until it's fixed. You can hire more developers even within your own country as well. Take on agile development methodologies, even DevOps approaches, cloud approaches as well. But still, that efficiency is difficult to achieve. And with the Mendix platform, and to be clear as well, between all 3 companies on the phone today, Mendix is a low-code, rapid application development platform that enables you to develop applications using visual modeling rather than actually having to code them out. And Siemens saw the value in a tool like this and ultimately acquired Mendix back in, I think it was fall of 2018. And prior to that acquisition, Time Series had been connected with Mendix as the #1 services and solutions provider globally, especially within the enterprise space. But tying it back to Mendix, it's a low-code platform that allows you to really take that model-driven approach when you're developing apps. So there's more efficient communication between business and IT, because sometimes there's a gap in terms of communication due to speaking in 2 different languages. It's difficult for a business analyst that doesn't necessarily have a coding background to be able to articulate through code or to be able to sift through lines of code. But with this model-driven approach, it enables both teams to understand in real time what's going correctly, what's going incorrectly in a fail-fast environment. So instead of getting a prototype maybe 3 months after the initial development, recognizing that there's X, Y, and Z issues, to throw it back over the fence for IT to continue developing, you're able to nip that in the bud right off of the bat, so you're not having this massive back and forth. You're able to get those applications out more efficiently. And it offers these rich multi-channel full stack with data logic and beautiful UI capabilities for both web and mobile as well. So this is actually one of my favorite slides as well, because I think people might be under the perception sometimes that these could be lightweight applications that you're developing, but we're seeing enterprise companies in all industries really develop the core of their business with Mendix, developing these centers of excellence around the platform with working with time series to really strategize and create these governance packages and true center of excellence around the platform, so you can create these custom apps that integrate into multiple core systems at once. So literally on your phone with mobile native capabilities, with an application that you've developed in a drag and drop environment, you can be able to pull data from your PLM system, your ERP, your CRM, etc. And you're able to have that information literally on your phone to be able to make real-time decisions. So with that said, with the integration capabilities that Mendix has, the development that you're able to create on it and rapidly develop, we've given you a high-level overview of what Mendix, Siemens, and Time Series is able to really offer with rapid application development. But the premise of today's presentation is within the medical devices space. So we want to make sure that we leave plenty of time to discuss how we've taken this approach into the medical devices space as well. So as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, the third core pillar of Time Series is that Smart App Suite. So pre-packaged application templates that have been developed utilizing Mendix and open source technologies as well, like Kafka and Cassandra. You could see here a few of the different business use cases on that old school box that we have to represent. It's all software within the computer, so you don't actually have to purchase the box if you're getting the Smart App Suite. But you could see these specific use cases, and automated planning, field services, intelligent insight, predictive maintenance, smart warehousing, asset management, and tracking. These were consistent use cases that we were seeing in a variety of industries. But then we were seeing these industry-specific use cases come up as well, like UDI submission. Like we'll be discussing that later, along with a few other topics. So the team has taken it a step further, and we're now creating the verticalized Smart App Suite for specific industries. And we're in the middle of actually developing that Smart App Suite for the medical devices space. We've actually just completed our first template, which is that UDI submission. We'll go over a few other domains as well later that we have proven with other customers too, that we will eventually create templates around. But you can see here in terms of what's been completed for an official Smart App Suite within the marine space, energy and utilities, and that cross industry, which are those use cases that you could see here on the box as well. So right here you could see the variety of different types of medical device domain expertise that we have, including that template around UDI submission. So we have post-market surveillance as well. We've in physician and patient portals, intelligent insight, regulatory compliance, registration and tracking. Time Series has a lot of experience with life sciences customers, medical device manufacturers, the domain expertise for self-service web and mobile applications for customers, patients, and physicians with complete LIMS systems as well, and extensions. These templates are being developed, and the domain expertise is there. That the regulatory compliance is a crucial part of life sciences for manufacturers, as most of you well know. And since these requirements are changing constantly, having multiple back-end systems that need to be involved are rigid, but the difficulties in integration, as you've probably seen with traditional code, might be somewhat complex. But with the openness and architecture that these templates, that these domains and the Mendix platform enables, we're able to integrate those applications into your core systems to be able to tackle the requests, making these applications you develop with us extremely powerful. A concrete example of these constantly moving targets is that during Obamacare, the regulatory compliance around bribing and providing transparency around medical device manufacturer spends toward even physicians, called the Sunshine Act and HCP aggregate spend. We've literally created multiple applications around aggregate spend for a variety of medical device customers already. I'll move forward though. I definitely want to have some time to discuss a few of these different domains so you can understand in a little bit more depth what we've actually created here. So for example, for a leading North American biotech company, the medical test ordering process was optimized with an online web and mobile portal that was developed on Mendix with time series support services and delivery. We created a custom physician patient portal for web and mobile documenting the health of cancer patients. And some of the features where physicians were able to view and sign patients' test documents. There's a full patient dashboard. They're able to actually order tests from the application, generate real-time results just due to that real-time integration with those back-end systems. Have similar case search and analysis and true mobile access as well, offline with that native capability too. And then I want to talk a little bit about laboratory information management systems and extensions. So you'll be able to manage all tests and communicate results back to customers in real time. And that real time efficiency is how you can make your business leaner with the utilization of this type of technology. And additionally, this all ties back into your legacy backend data sources, where you can still maintain some of that specific functionality, but it's on top of those core systems, not actually within. So you're able to pull that data in real time while keeping the core completely clean and vanilla. One of the customer self-service portal as well. That's an online self-service portal for mobile apps to eliminate manual processes and provide excellent customer service. It's the heart of time series. It's what we've developed multiple times over. We've actually done this for a leading Canadian technology health claims management services company. We created a web and mobile app delivered to optimize patients and health provider communication. In particular, the app actually replaces the manual processes that they had before of linking claims and medical drug coverage to streamline reimbursements. So that was the premise of the reason why they wanted our help to actually code deliver this application. Was it tied back to a specific business pain that the company was feeling. They were doing these processes manually, and too many people were involved, and that led to inconsistencies in how they actually went to market. So it's really finding that specific business pain and then tying it back to how can we solve that with an application, a specific domain, and or even a template. And lastly here, I want to go through the medical device registration and tracking globally. The registration and tracking is extremely important because one of the largest medical device manufacturers in North America and globally actually created a medical device. They were experiencing a lot of different challenges due to localization needs, and the patient data they could only stay within a specific patient country. So they actually created an entire warranty management system and registration and tracking system on the Mendix platform, and they were able to deliver it in, much more efficiently than they were ultimately looking to do via traditional code. And or through consideration of another low-code platform like Salesforce, but they ultimately moved forward with Mendix and the time series team to rapidly develop that. So I'm going to go here and take you through a few different use cases as well. I actually alluded to this in the previous example that we had here. Claim Secure, it's a subsidiary of McKesson within the insurance claim space within the medical field. They actually went forward with that customer self-service domain application, and the project was called the Coverage Navigation. The use case was around process optimization, and it was a task management application. And the function basically helps insurance caseworkers to guide their customers towards external coverage. So all the communication runs through this application and integrates against the existing back services as well. So it has that true case management, email, and task capability within it as well. And it truly improved their customer service and reduced the manual processes, enabling the business to operate more efficiently as they do business with their customers. Another use case just wanted to discuss is Analogic. They created a telemedicine portal for Analogic's veterinary medicine division on the Mendix platform. So it's actually a really good story as well. The veterinary service division had been using a web app from a third-party vendor, but given the unique approach and the custom processes that Analogic has, in that they take to the telemedicine with ultrasound, the third-party platform was only giving them about 75% of what they actually needed. So that customization wasn't really there. So just tying back to that smart app suite with the ease of off the shelf and the flexibility of custom, it's a double-edged sword sometimes when you utilize off the shelf because it's easier to adopt per se, but there's a lot of rigidity in that actual adoption and around customizing it to specific business use cases. So Analogic was experiencing a number of hacks in place, which were constantly broke down by new platform updates. It took a turn to look at how many man hours of discussion and days of weeks to the development patch. And ultimately, when they recognize this gap in their offering and the rigidity, they moved forward with Mendix and created a POC on the platform in just 1 week. So the telemedicine portal, it allows for viewing and consultation of medical imaging. So with that integration back into DICOM for the veterinary medicine sector. So again, this connects veterinary hospitals with medical imaging specialists for interpretation of their medical imaging from DICOM modalities as well. The workflow of the app basically enables veterinarians to perform an in-clinic exam during which medical imaging is sent to the cloud. And that receipt of a new study triggers a webhook using REST to the telemedicine app and then containing identifying info about the actual exam for the patient in the hospitals, which in turn can automatically create a new exam in the application. So it actually links back the new exam to the imaging stored in the cloud as well. So the vet can actually can access the telemedicine app, review their exam, filling in additional information about the patient, such as medical history, before submitting the exam for interpretation by a specialist, which basically specialists are able to report on the exam is dependent on the services like selected actually for interpretation. So something that's really great about this application that it's been in production for over 3.5 years to present date, since back in 2016. Total time of development was just under 6 months. And they actually utilize one full-time salary developer and two services representatives as well to help deliver the application. So there was 3 people on the project, which is really important to take in terms of how little amount of people it took to actually rapidly develop this application and bring value back to the business with that difficult DICOM integration as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pause there. Alex, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to you to give a few more examples and then take us away with a little bit more information on the UDI submission.
Now, Karis, just to kind of give some context, because this is a great example of a functional or a hardware company that is actually a service company. And that transition is, always a difficult transition. So what Karis does is they do DNA sequencing, and they take tests from physicians or patients, and they sequence DNA and they reference it across a large data set of DNA and, make sure that, or look for what treatments will work better for certain patients, right? So they were really good at getting DNA tests, sequencing, and going about it that way. But where they weren't good on is having that business process to take in tests, to process tests, and to get those results back to the final patient. And that's where Mendix really shines, is that it can take succinct business processes and digest them into an application that's easy to use, easy to maintain, and has great uptime. So it provided a comprehensive user-friendly portal, and we also built a LIMS system for them, where we actually dealt with the management of these physical tissue samples, and that really helped them tie that LIMS system into the MI portal so that you have a single flow of data and you can manage it, you can regulate it, you have visibility, it's transparent, and you have one source of truth. So now we're going to move on to the demo here. And before we actually see the application, I want to make sure that everyone has the correct context that we're looking at this in. So the challenge here is that the FDA currently has two ways to input a UDI. A UDI is a universal device identification, and it's used in North America and Europe. The two ways that allow companies, medical device companies, to input a UDI is through their web portal, which is essentially just manual data entry into a web page. And there's also their AS2 gateway, which is let's call it a non-traditional way to transfer data between two organizations. And why they chose that, as we all know in the medical device industry, liability. It allows essentially the FDA to have a receipt that they sent it and you to have a receipt that you received it, so that liability could be controlled between the transfer of information between systems. However, not a lot of applications use this specific protocol. Now, this is a great way for Mendix to kind of, let's say, lessen the load on your administrative employees, because these UDIs contain, anywhere from 70 to 150 data points, and manually data entry from one system to another is just inefficient, and it's also rife with error, things of that nature. So really, the whole point of this is to sit on top of your enterprise systems, take in the data, organize that data, and then export it in the format that it needs to be formatted in, and send it via this niche protocol. So the idea is that, it's just a pipeline, but it's also not an FTE sitting at a computer typing data from one system to another. So now that we kind of have this explained, right, it sits on top of a PLM. A PLM is a product lifecycle management. For those of you that aren't aware, it's essentially an application that manages the life cycle of a product, from ideation to design to engineering to delivery to end of life, things of that sort. And it also sits on your ERP, because that's where all your financial data is kept. So it offers the ease of off-the-shelf solutions and the flexibility of custom app development because it sits on Mendix. We can change this really easily. What you're about to see has taken a month and a half, 2 months of development from a junior developer with some oversight. So let's hop into it. So here's our login screen. Now, everyone knows what a login screen is. It's familiar. I'm going to log in. Now we can do our home screen, right? And here we just kind of want to show our user with some summary data, right? Here's our UDIs. Here's how we're doing. We got some that need attention. We have some that are in the grace period. The business process from the FDA. Once you submit a UDI, you have 7 days to make changes without having to lock or unlock a record. And published are records that are available in the FDA's GUDID for public access, right? I can click on this, I can click on that, I can get to my errors, right? These are just technical errors. The normal regulatory admin probably wouldn't know what to do with it, but they could at least, contact someone who knows what to do with it. Now, on the right here, we have a nice little line chart. And what this shows is kind of successful records push and unsuccessful records push. And this is supposed to give the user kind of a summary idea of how they're doing, either in data entry or connection errors, things like that. So what we can see here is that we don't have any records to be pushed right now. So I'm going to go out to Teamcenter right now. I'm going to get my UDI. I have my UDI, which I just got from the system. I'm going to click into it, kind of just look around. We can see, we have some basic information, and there's more information behind this page, but didn't really feel a need to show it to the user. We can see it's in our to be push status. So let's just go back. We got it. Let's select it. Now I'm going to submit it. Yep, I would like to submit. Now we have an unsuccessful push, right? Now this means that the GUDID has rejected the file. This could either be due to parsing errors, things like that. However, it'll be in our needs attention bucket, right? Now if I search here, we'll see that I've got a couple pushes here, but it looks like it did move along, so that's good. But that's life. And now we need to go back into our PLM and modify this UDI and get it fixed so that we can actually push it to the UDI. Now, if it were a successful push, it would be in grace period. It would be in that 7-day window where we can make changes without, locking it or unlocking it. And then after that 7-day period, which we track through application logic and things like that, it would move to a published state. And as you can see here, all these records are locked. They're published, they're locked, and we have a URL for them because these are available to the public, right? So I'm going to click here. This is the record in the GUDID, and this is how it's all managed. So that's kind of the general scheme of things. This is meant to be a pipeline, right? If there's an error, you don't fix the data in here, at least not how it's currently configured. That can be changed, but that also, then you need to think about other business processes that need to be in place to manage that, right? Where's the source of truth? Things like that. So yeah, that's the demo on the UDI. Back to you, Evan.
All righty, thank you for that demo, Alex. Really appreciate it. That's great stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and bring myself back to presenter here. I'm gonna trust that you're able to see my screen as well. So I think to wrap things up, we only have 15 more minutes left in the webinar. I just wanted to take you through, to actually make this presentation tangible and applicable back to any viewers out there. I know that there's a variety of different viewers representing all different types of companies. So whether you represent a company that's looking to also resell what we're offering, whether you're looking to adopt, want to make you successful in how you go about it, or if you're just interested in learning a little bit more, just want to make sure that you have everything that you need in order to make an appropriate decision in the future too. So these are a variety of different ways that time series can make you successful in that collaboration with Mendix and Siemens. First it's a rapid application delivery of custom smart apps. So we have those pre-packaged application templates. So if there's any specific use case that you saw that resonates with your business, we'd be happy to discuss that with you in more detail, do a bit more of a discovery and a scoping session to understand if it could be a good fit for you. And also any of those domains that we showcase within the medical devices space. And then tying back to that center of excellence and services, we'd be able to support and set you up on your internal on your Mendix investment as well. I think there's a variety of different ways that companies approach the Mendix platform. It's really a strategic platform engagement, and/or you can just take it back a step, start extremely small, find one specific business use case that our team has been. For example, your team has probably been considering developing for a while. It's been in the backlog. You may have attempted it in the past. The project went over time, over budget. You've taken a variety of different approaches in order to tackle this one project, but you just haven't really been able to hit the nail on the head. Those are my favorite types of use cases as well, to prove value immediately up front. Selecting one use case, proving value, something extremely tangible back to the business, keep it under the radar, and then have something excellent scale from there, because typically businesses don't have just one application. There's a multitude of apps. But starting small and then growing and scaling, it's that start, structure, scale approach that typically makes customers successful on average. And then lastly, we have a partner to partner program out there. So for any companies that are also reselling Mendix and/or a partner within the Siemens ecosystem, we'd be able to work with you if you have any asks from your existing customers around Mendix specifically, and/or if companies have expressed symptoms that might relate back to what time series can offer around rapid application development. So again, there's a variety of different approaches that you can take. we'll be able to provide our contact information for you if you have any questions within this scope of how you can become successful, and or any other general questions that you might have that you might not be able to think of today on the presentation. We definitely want to leave the last 10 minutes here for just an open Q&A though, and just an open dialogue. So with that said, I think that's everything from the team in terms of an actual presentation from a webinar standpoint. But again, just want to leave it open. So if anyone has any questions for the team, feel free to shoot off. Oh, and before we move forward with that, here's a link to showcase a variety of different webinars that we'll be hosting throughout the spring and the summer too, if you're interested. So feel free to just take a quick screenshot, take a picture on your phone as well. So on May 13th, we have a webinar for energy and utilities. May 27th, logistics and transportation. June 3rd, construction and engineering. You might be saying, Evan, I'm only in the medical devices space. That's all I care about. But sometimes it's just great to understand how other industries are adopting it as well. We've really created this specific domain expertise and industry knowledge within medical devices, but time series services and the Mendix platform's capability is agnostic to industry. So it's great and educational there too. So that truly is it. We're going to open it up for questions now. We still have about 10 more minutes. So if anyone on the line has any questions, feel free to send them over to the organizer, and we'll be able to facilitate those one at a time. All right, so we have one question here in terms of where can you deploy applications, and how do you go ahead and do that? So I would say that there's three approaches to this, but first I'll take a step back even from that. So for deployment of the applications, once you've actually completed them with Mendix or on the platform itself, I'd say the founders of Mendix actually had a strategic decision when they first created the company to partner with and develop on top of Pivotal Cloud Foundry. So that partnership there enables anyone developing on the platform to actually deploy an application into any cloud environment and or on-premise. Lastly, have even a hybrid approach to their applications when they're deploying them. So if there's any high level of security, let's say that an application has to be on-premise, and this can happen quite frequently in the medical device space due to government regulation, even within the government space too. Aerospace and manufacturing, we see it quite frequently in financial industry too, just depending on what the application is and how critical it is to the business. But you do have that flexible deployment option. And if you'd like, Mendix does provide an AWS cloud environment too, if you wanted to deploy your application to the Mendix cloud as well. If you are looking to implement a cloud strategy, don't necessarily have your own cloud environment quite yet, but are looking to utilize that. All right, let's see if there's any other questions there. Licensing and pricing question here. So the question is, how do you typically license and how do you typically price based on everything that we've gathered today? So when you're working with time series, so if there's an engagement that we typically go through, it would be a two-prong approach where you'd have a services cost to actually co-delivering those applications with you, and then a licensing cost to the actual Mendix platform. So on the Mendix platform side, the charge is on the amount of end users that you have on a completed application. And there's typically a 1-to-10 ratio there, meaning that for every one internal user, you get 10 external users. So you're not charged on the amount of components per application or the amount of applications per se. The goal is to have you develop as many applications as possible to rapidly develop those. So the charge ties back to the end users on the platform. And then when engaging with time series as well, there's a services charge in terms of actually co-delivering those applications with you and standing up a center of excellence around your investment. We've heard a lot of senior leadership at Siemens talk about time series as their ROI accelerator on Siemens investment in the Mendix platform. So we're there to really ensure that you're able to deliver those applications according to that business process. And then lastly as well, if you're looking to adopt a template within the Smart App Suite, there is a recurring cost there annually if you do adopt one of those templates. And it's what you're getting from that is just that ease of adoption. It just makes it so quick and seamless for companies that do ultimately move forward with a template on the Smart App Suite. All right, let's see if there's any other questions. Right here, so we have, I think, a couple more. Have you deployed any full stack applications using this platform? I know Alex has been a consultant here for over a year and has worked with a variety of different companies in the medical device space and other industries as well. So short answer to that question is yes. Alex, with the last few minutes, if you want to elaborate, maybe just go through a few different projects that you've worked on, that would be fantastic, maybe at high level as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think this question really depends on your definition of a full stack application, but I mean, I've done projects where, I've been kind of doing the operations of the project on the SAP cloud, dealing with, infrastructure management, things like that. I've also done projects where I'm doing custom Java, integrating with a printer, to communicate across continent. I work in Denver and I was printing in Canada. I've also done some JavaScript widget development, and I've touched a lot of the platform. So in that regards, I would consider building a lot of full stack applications. But I also think that any Mendix application you build is technically a full stack application. It just depends on what part of that stack you're interacting with, if that makes sense.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Alex. I think we have time for one more question here. We're seeing one typing right now. The question is, where can we get training for the Mendix development tool? Is there available training in the next 3 months? So actually, Time Series offers what's called Time Series University. And it's an entire training program around Mendix development. It's fantastic. We have the ability to really train your app development team internally on how to actually utilize the platform. The Mendix marketing team does a great job of making the platform, look easy to use. But you are still developing these full stack enterprise grade apps that integrate into multiple systems. So even though it's easier to use than per se traditional code, it's still not easy. And we do have a really set methodology on how we train developers and business analysts on the platform to really become dangerous and develop those robust applications in much shorter amount of time, typically. And if anybody is interested, again, in Time Series University, I'd be happy to share that link as well. But you can also go to our website too. And on the top tab there, you'd be able to click through and see Time Series University and read a little bit more if you go to timeseries.com. And with that said as well, there are a variety of different ways that you can also try out the Mendix platform online too, and we'd be able to walk you through that before even moving forward with the actual acquisition of a license for it. So I think we're at the top of the hour here. If there's no other questions, we're going to go ahead and end this session. I just really wanted to thank everyone here for your time. Alex, Jim, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate the overview, the demonstration, and again, for the audience for taking the time out of your busy day. Hope everybody is staying healthy, staying well, and staying sane. We'll make it through together and be stronger on the other side of COVID-19. So again, thank you all for your time and have a great day.